We're going to move on to the third and final subject. The third and final scenario is this. Your neighbor Dean, and by the way, my neighbor's name really is Dean, tells you that he thinks Obamacare is great because it will allow millions of Americans to finally receive quality health care. Who could be opposed to that? What do you say to your neighbor Dean?
Small business is being picked on right now, and that's why our economy is not growing, simply because about 70% of the employees in the United States right now are hired by small businesses. Further, with Obamacare coming on board, that small businesses owners are guarded to hire new people because of potential fines if we don't pay. So this is we're really holding back from hiring new people.
I mean, there are a lot of things that are going wrong, and a lot of people who can't afford health care, and we've got to do something about that. It's obvious. And especially the precondition that companies would drop somebody if they have a pre-existing condition. But this isn't the way to do it. A giant government program is not the way to do it for over 300 million Americans. Wherever it's been tried, it's been tiny countries, and it's only semi-worked for semi-periods of time. If we tried this in our country, do you want the same people whose drivers, where you go to get your driver's license, do you want them taking care of your health care? Do you want the same people who have bankrupted the post office and Amtrak taking care of this vital function, which means life or death? I don't think so. If you look at the failures of our government and the failures of big government, I don't want that for me. I want to be able to, and we see now that a lot of employers are dropping their employee health care because it's so expensive with this one-size-fits-all government health care. And it's just not going to work. And the whole Congress is scrambling, trying to figure out what to do about it. Obama is ignoring it. And I, for one, am not willing to trust my body to big government.
I mean, as a business owner, it's putting me out of business, having to fund the costs of the insurance. And you know, somebody gets sick or has some kind of medical procedure, they come out of it, and it's $200,000 gets spent in the course of 3 weeks. I mean, really. I mean, there's something wrong with that system. So the idea that our healthcare system, I think it's another example where we've been riding the course, and it's feeling pretty good for those of us that can't afford it and are in the flow of it. But more and more, it's getting out of control, not unlike our Social Security. And eventually, you do have to do something. Somewhere, it has to be reset. And so the problem is how Obamacare came about, primarily in secrecy, massive, overreaching documents and legislation, unknown, unfigured out in its funding sources. That's what makes Obamacare problematic. Not the goal that we should try and have health coverage for everybody. That's a worthy goal, but we need to figure out how to do it in a manner that works. It doesn't, just like it'd be a nice worthy goal for everyone to live in a mansion and everyone to take 6-month vacations. What's wrong with any of those things? They're all great things. You need to figure out how to be able to accomplish things. They don't just happen because you wish them so.
Medicaid used to be for the poor, and now it's an economic level, income level 4 times that. So what that means is there's going to be way more people going into the Medicaid program, which was developed for people who couldn't otherwise provide for themselves, and they needed Medicaid. And so this is a very compelling argument I've used before. I have a liberal cousin who says this is the best argument I've heard. And it's basically that use a real story about Diamante Driver. It's on here. Diamante Driver was a 12-year-old Medicaid beneficiary in Washington, D.C., and he got a tooth abscess. And his mother couldn't get him an appointment with a doctor who would accept Medicaid, because fewer and fewer doctors are now accepting Medicaid, because the reimbursement is going down. And the same is true for Medicare, by the way. And anyway, the kid died of a tooth abscess that went to his brain, not because he was uninsured, but because he was government insured.
We have to shift the way as conservatives we communicate, and we have to become like liberals. And by the way, we all fight it tooth and nail because we're so logic and reason driven, and it doesn't work, and it drives us crazy. Doesn't it drive us crazy? Because we say, how can you not see logic and reason? But you know what? They don't.
That's what you're talking about, where you relate it to yourself and relate it to the other person. You talk about your personal stories instead of your, just, well, this is the facts, this is the facts. Well, yeah, those are the facts, but people don't want to hear about facts. They want to hear about what makes them feel good.